Perfect. Hello, my name is Wendy Finau, and professionally I go by my middle name, Wendy Finau. As an alumnus of West High, I graduated with the class of 96, and tonight I want to speak to options which I didn't find as I researched the plans for the future of the school building. So I ask that you consider the following to vote for option 1 with modifications. Allow me to tell you a little bit more about myself and why I'm here. My time I spent at West inspired me to stay involved not only in academics, I was also involved with prevention efforts to help students who struggled. I was a member of peer court and improvisational teen theater. In fact, the IB theater program allowed my enrollment into the school as a sophomore in 1994. In 95, as a junior, I became a student senate rep for iCare and took part in student government for the first time. I then ran and won the title of ASW historian. As a senior in September of 95, during homecoming week, I spent my time reviewing nearly 74 years of the history of the school for an ambitious self-assigned project that would serve as a slideshow review for the school's history. Yes, that's me. I also took a great deal of time in the halls and classes of the school building that week and throughout the months before my senior year and high school career ended. I learned more about who I wanted to be in the halls of that building because of the attention I paid to the details of not only what it took to build that school, I also wanted to be someone who could record the history of the school to emphasize the significance of each of the students from the classes of 96 to 2001. I'm ambitious. I am also a second generation immigrant of a Tongan American woman and a single mom who died by suicide in 1987. Now, the reason why I tell you this is that of the volunteer work I'm now involved with, I speak to students across the Salt Lake Valley about suicide prevention and how important mental health is. What I've discovered in the last 6 years of speaking and serving students at high schools like Hunter, Cypress, and now Granger High is that I understand distinctly the value of allowing every student their space to learn and grow in an environment conducive to their needs. What are these needs? Do they really include taking a building meant to herald ideas of larger, older institutions on the East Coast down? Those are the same buildings that are still standing because of the beautiful and purposeful architecture meant to inspire learning and the love of learning. Since learning of the plans to reimagine this building, I've been following the project closely, and I do understand the challenges of renovating this building. And Preservation Utah has provided great insight into the possibility of preserving the current building and incredible reasons our community should. So Richard Moe, the former president of the National Trust for Historic Preservation, stated, like individuals, a community can fall victim to amnesia, can lose the memory of what it was, and thereby lose touch with what it is and what it was meant to be. The loss of community memory happens most frequently and most dramatically in the destruction of familiar landmarks that they are themselves familiar reminders of who we were, what we believed, and where we are headed. The West High School class of 1964, Lawrence H. West became Larry H. Miller when his mother remarried in 1949. During his life, Miller set up a foundation to preserve historic buildings. Based on his philanthropic endeavors and financial support, if he were still with us, it would be a pervasive sentiment. It is a pervasive sentiment that we may not even have a discussion to rebuild, but yet to revitalize and renovate the school to its original glory with the upgrades needed for a modern-day educational institution. Preservation Utah has spoken to the sustainability of a renovation based on the idea that we are reusing current materials that option 3 would have in a landfill. 96 was a big year for the building. Back then, the student body fought to no avail to save the auditorium, and then I took pictures of the auditorium as I silently mourned the loss of what usually reminded me of a smaller version of Capitol West Theater downtown. In 97, a portion of the student body moved to a remote location until the main building was ready to host students once again. And that brings me to recall another notable alumni, Clayton Christensen, the student body president of the class of 1970. Christensen is most famously known as the author of Disruptive Innovation, a proven theory that describes the process in which a product or service takes a root in simple applications and expands to have a dramatic impact on the market, disrupting the status quo. Preservation Utah mentioned the opportunity for option 5. The students would relocate from one building to a next in every phase of the project. The proposal introduced the idea of a quad structure that also saves the main building. If we modify option 1, we can also have the students and faculty look to the community leaders, businesses, and or alumni to help support the effort. During those 8 years, it would involve increasing a work-study program for more juniors and seniors, moving them off campus and allowing them to focus on their future as they work within the community. Freshmen, sophomores will also be hosted at a remote site if we ask the community and companies to become engaged and involved in providing space dedicated to the faculty and students of the school for the duration of the renovation. This leaves us with the LP years 7th through 8th grade. Portables would be available for them, but for only 2 years of their high school career. We could expect that 4 graduating classes would be in portables for only 2 years as we manifest a newly renovated West High, retrofitted again for the next generation of scholars and champions. Please say